Remember we used to come here after we got wasted.
What's wasted?
When you have a hankering for ice cream.
Well, I want to get wasted. I want to get totally wasted. I want to get chocolate wasted.
Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz, Matt Atchity, Christy, Lemire, Alonso, Duralde. Grown-Ups 2, the most eagerly anticipated sequel of the summer because we all loved Grown-Ups.
We anticipated the end.
Yeah.
So that we could leave.
We were all fighting with each other to see who gets to describe the plot because I got news for you. There is no plot. So, Christy, go ahead, give it a shot.
Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, Kevin James, David Spade. That's it.
Yeah.
How did you become a cop after all that crap we did growing up?
Put your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. Say ho! Hey! Say ho!
Well, I might as well enjoy this.
She's my cherry pie. Cool drink of water, such a sweet surprise.
Your car is filthy.
That's your plot. No, it's seriously. You turned to me at one point and you're like, is there even a plot to this thing? And I'm like, no, there is not. It's just them and fart jokes. Claudia Puig, our friend Claudia Puig at USA Today, actually counted up all of the pee, fart, and poop jokes.
That was probably more interesting than actually paying attention to the movie.
I was your brain muscles, yeah.
I'd like to see that score.
Yeah, I was sitting next to another critic here in LA that walked out
Is that
30
right?
minute into
Didn't
it.
he want to know how it ended?
We got to a certain joke and he's like, that's it, I'm out.
But like, there's no story. Like in movie, like you expected it to be, Adam Sandler and Salma Hayek. Maybe she wants to move back to L.A. and they separate, and he has to decide what's more important. Like, some nonsense something. But this is just this happens, and then this happens, and then there's the party, and the Jay Giles band comes.
But as you pointed out, they don't actually call them the Jay Giles band in the credits.
In the credits,
the party band.
They say party band.
This is the party band. They introduced them as the Jay Giles band in the movie, but then
No, they say Jay Giles and his friends.
Oh, is that right?
That's
Yeah.
how they get around
That's
it.
how they get it, because clearly it's like
really
Peter
funny.
Wolf and 5 other guys.
This is
didn't
the
want to
state
be
fair
roasted.
version of the Jay Giles band, I guess.
So yeah, we're talking about this
man.
walking out. Is this better or worse than the first Grown Ups?
I think it's worse, and I think it might be. And it's hard to believe that there was this much room below, but it might be much worse.
Here's the responsibility I feel to our viewers. Okay. I had not seen the first one. So for you, the viewers, I watched the first one yesterday morning. And I'm here to tell you, Grown Ups 2 sucks compared to Grown Ups.
Wow. All right, there you go. We'll
you.
defer to you.
Amongst the issues with this movie, amongst the warning signs, the most telling, even Rob Schneider does not return for this film. When Rob Schneider claps out and says like, guys, I'd rather spend time with my kid. Avoid the movie like the play, right?
Yeah.
The other thing, when Taylor Lautner is the best part of your movie.
When Taylor Lautner has the majority of laughs
Yeah.
in a movie with guys like Chris Rock and Adam Sandler and Kevin James and David Spade, all of which are very funny in other roles, all of which are capable of being hilarious. That's a telling sign. When number 2, the distant second to getting laughs, is Shaquille O'Neal.
That's right.
I thought the big laugh getter in this movie was the inflatable raft.
Yeah. He
That
nailed it
stole the
twice.
movie, really, yes.
So funny they had to do it again.
Oh, because every joke in this movie gets trotted out a good 4 or 5 times, no matter how not
Like
funny they are.
There was a thing with Tim Meadows' family where he says what, and then his wife says it, and his kid says it, and the first couple times he did it, like you're like,
Is this meant to be?
Is it a
is this meant to be?
catchphrase?
Like what? Like
Is it a
what?
thing?
Why? Because he's saying what to things that aren't even things you would say what to.
Yeah.
I think that was their in-joke on the set and they chose to incorporate it somehow.
So-
Maybe that's what that was. I have no idea.
I find this movie to be like offensively lazy and offensively cynical in that, okay, the first one made a bunch of money. So let's just get everybody together and make another one. There's no effort from these guys. I feel like we're actually taking too much time either bothering to review it because that cast and crew clearly doesn't give a shit and has no pride. And you cannot tell me anyone involved in that production has any pride in this at all.
Well, here's what I wonder though. I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's a lot of people out there who are going to say, oh, just like a fun, happy movie.
No.
F that. Fuck that idea. Like, that's the wrong idea. People should not settle for this kind of thing. And I'm serious about this. Like, the kind of people who go and see this movie and like it and think it's funny, you're bad people. Like, seriously, you're bad people. That's not okay.
Christy and I sat next to a couple of bad people then, because they definitely they had fun.
It is a sitcom. I mean, it's like there's these blank characters doing nothing that's very interesting.
They give sitcoms a bad name.
And the thing is, it wants to have it both ways. It wants to be like sort of gross out, puerile. Every time a hot babe walks on screen, the guys are all like, ah, everything with the aruga sound effect. But then at the same time, it's another fucking Adam Sandler movie where it's to deliver a homily about family is important and all that stuff. And it's just like, who is this movie made for? If not low functioning adults,
But like, there are moments in it because there's so many bathroom jokes and so many pee jokes and so many guys using the toilet at the Kmart with no plumbing, and there's so much of that, and Colin Quinn shitting out ice cream, and that it seems like it's for 14-year-old boys. But then there's the party
crisis.
and the boobs, which seem like it's more directed toward sort of lowbrow adult comedy, which would be fine. And then there's this big last 40 minutes of the movie that's this one giant 80s, well, there's no joke, just 80s reference that can't be referenced to, that obviously isn't for 14 or 15-year-olds because they wouldn't think any part of that's funny.
And all of that would be acceptable if there were any funny jokes in this movie, but none of it's funny. Like, Farrelly Brothers can do gross out stuff. You look at stuff like Something About Mary and some of the vintage Farrelly Brothers movies. Like, they can be puerile, they can be stupid, they can make silly, obnoxious jokes, but those movies are funny, right?
No, but you mentioned like who's it for, right? There's all the gross out stuff for like preteens or whatever. But then they're not gonna in any way relate to the midlife crisis, existential stuff that's supposedly the meat of it. And then grown ass people. Who finds this funny? This is what I wonder. Who was sitting next to us that was like doubling over laughing when the deer pisses all over them in the morning?
There was a guy
Twice, right?
Another repeated joke.
But it's like, who laughs at that? And then I'm confused. Who's it for?
It's that type of comedy where it's, you know what this is? This is almost the equivalent of like a scary movie or epic movie where the jokes succeed on recognition and not actual humor and not actual timing. Like, oh, I recognize that. That's funny. Ha.
Right.
Look, they made a reference to something. Ha.
That's right. That's a good point. That's what it is.
There's such a weird place of like male privilege in these films where the women are all there to be ogled unless they are the mannish, muscular woman, in which case, let's make a joke about how she has a penis. And then the male body stuff, which is all about like the coach who wears the gym shorts too tight or the male cheerleaders at the car wash, is all treated as this sort of queasy joke of ew, gross, like the possibility of male sexuality. There's a thesis in here somewhere. It's bananas.
That's that one scene, the car wash scene, in another movie could have been this really sharp satire about the kind of crazy scenes that women have to do in movies and the way men look at them. And objectification. That could be a really sharp scene. But in this one, it's a gay panic scene.
Yes.
And in this movie, any satire in there, I think, is completely accidental. I don't think that they mean that at all. The frustrating thing about a movie like this is that people will, we all know this, people will get on the message boards and they'll say, oh, you just don't like movies and you don't know how to have fun in a movie. That's the wrong attitude here. This is not a movie. This is people getting together and shooting whatever they think is mildly amusing. And they think whatever is the lowest common this is made by people who look down on an audience. Well, they put no effort into it.
I was going to ask you the question, do you think that these people who made this movie actually think this stuff is funny, or do they make it because they think their audience wants it?
I think it's impossible to believe. Chris Rock is one of the two funniest people I've ever seen in my life. I've seen every episode of King of Queens.
Colin Quinn is on Twitter saying he doesn't really want to go to the premiere.
Is that right? Yeah. But I mean, David Spade makes every sitcom he's in better. And Chris Rock, I mentioned, and Adam Sandler is done such incredibly smart, at times, clever stuff, especially. And then there's Maya Rudolph. Right. I mean,
it's married to Paul Thomas Anderson. She knows better.
Salma Hayek.
Maria Bello. These are
the kind of movie you look at and say, these aren't credits, these are indictments.
And then,
Andy Samberg's in the car wash scene.
The car wash scene was a big
entire season of Saturday
Night Live. The whole season of Saturday Night Live.
Do they think this stuff is funny?
This is the genius of Adam Sandler. He gets Sony to give him like $80 million to make these movies, which are awful and they can't cost anything to make because they're all very basic. They're all shot on some backlot somewhere. Then on top of it, you'll notice all the Kmart product placement in this movie. There was all that Royal Caribbean in Jack and Jill. So that's an extra who knows how many mil getting thrown in the bucket. So he is, I'm sure, making out like a bandit on these, and I'm sure he pays like Dennis Dugan, who directs all these shit heaps, a ton of money.
Has a cameo.
Yeah, it has a cameo. Probably, coughs up lots of money to his bros and his buddies and his SNL people, and fucking Nick Swartzen, who is the least funny person on earth. And Alan Covert. And I'm sure they're all making a very nice living off of these movies, but they are horseshit, and they're terrible, and they are the worst thing to happen to the movies right now.
So what are our numbers?
I think my number's too high.
I think your number's too high too. You gave it a 1.
Yeah, I'm changing my number. I'm going to a 0.2.
Oh wow! All right, fair enough.
I'm sticking with
Because
my
it's not quite as
0.5.
bad as Sucker Punch, and I think that's the first movie. I think that's the only movie I gave a 0.
I liked it the second most. I gave it a 0.6. You loved it, apparently.
I recall.
She shakes the score up.
We liked shake the score up with a 1. We liked one scene.
We laughed at the one scene, again, with Taylor Lautner was the best part of your movie, when he and all his frat bros were like, chest bumping. Like, I will admit that was kind of funny. And then you turned to me afterward and you're like, that's going to be the best scene of the whole movie. And damn if it wasn't.
Damn, it wasn't. Right. It was about
I'm
20
sticking with
minutes
my 0.5, that inflatable raft gag. Delivered.
Well, you lowered it from a 0.8 to a 0.6.
Yeah. I give it a 0.2 because at least it's in focus.
Yeah. So 0.6 overall for Grown Ups 2. I talked to on the way in here, I was talking to a friend of mine, an established Hollywood writer, and they know. Like I said, for Grown Ups 2 last night, he's like, it's nothing, right? There's not even a story. There's no script. Like that's the word has gotten around town that there's not even nothing happens. There's not even an outline. Like there wasn't even a presentation and then an unfinished script.
Start filming.
I think they just showed up and started filming. Right. By the way, here's what else we did learn. I think that if Shaquille O'Neal wants to do this, like I think he probably can. Like I think he can probably be a guy who's in some movies. He has some presence.
He's better than Blue Chips.
He was amusing.
Yeah, he was amusing.
It's better than Kazam.
It was better than
I think we have our next Hightower.
All right, guys, thanks.